I'm Steve Walker Duncan, and I'm on a quest. As a professional chef for 25 years and an instructor at the Camosun College Culinary Arts program, I truly believe we have some of the best food in the world right here on the West Coast. Join me in discovering some of these culinary treasures.
Here I am in downtown Vancouver, but I can't stay. I've got a train to catch.
Not just any train, though. I'm going to be riding on the Rocky Mountaineer, one of the world's most spectacular and luxurious rail journeys. These specially built double-deck rail cars are designed to give the best possible view of the scenery we will be traveling through. And they're pretty comfortable, too. This trip goes from Vancouver and follows the Fraser and Thompson rivers to Kamloops and then through the Rocky Mountains to Jasper. The journey takes 2 days, so I've got plenty of time to relax and enjoy an unfamiliar view of Vancouver's morning rush hour as we make our way out of the city and follow the mighty Fraser River eastwards towards the mountains.
We're on board one of the world's leading travel experiences by train, but it's not just about the vista, it's about fabulous food. And what have we got here? But a beautiful fresh eggs Benedict. Red potatoes, free-range eggs, some beautiful double-smoked cured bacon on a nice English muffin. Delicious.
Preparing and serving food of this quality on a moving train is quite a challenge, as I found out when I met up with executive chef Frédéric Couton in one of the train's kitchens.
So what are some of the challenges of cooking on a train? I mean, obviously the motion we're feeling.
The motion is when we work with what we call a scoot guard. It's pretty much that's make sure nothing slippery on it.
Yeah.
We have a guard on the stove. It's all electric because by Transport Canada we cannot have gas.
Yeah.
We have a refrigerator, freezer, double door, like a regular restaurant.
Frédéric has mastered the art of cooking in this cramped and rocking environment, as he demonstrated when he showed me one of the recipes for the lunch menu.
We're gonna pretty much try to use the local product. We get a chicken from the valley, the vegetable from the valleys and berries. We have also beef from Alberta, the salmon. Well, this one that's from the island. We're pretty much going to try to showcase all local products. My potatoes, I will have to cut them because the train, everything's moving.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that's going to be stable, right?
Yeah, okay.
So the little trick.
Okay, just a little bit of pressure to hold them in place.
A little bit, you make sure you don't want to do some mashed potato, of course.
And that was 7 minutes. 350 degrees,
yeah.
And that's beautifully cooked. No, none of the white protein coming out the sides.
We're gonna add a little bit of smoked salt, which is we're doing during the winter.
So you smoke your own salt?
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
So what we did, we took nori seaweed.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of, we took our salt, smoked the salt, add nori, we chopped the nori, just to get a little bit more of a flavor of the...
Little, may I? Oh, that's divine. That's divine. It's like a little sushi in your mouth.
Fresh, yeah. And now we can finish with maybe, if we want, raspberries. Just give a little bit of a summer...
Little summer fruits, a little bit of fresh color. And
yeah.
I'm enjoying one of the world's greatest rail journeys, the Rocky Mountaineer from Vancouver to Jasper. The route takes us through the dramatic Fraser Canyon, and as the train twists and turns along the incredibly steep walls of the canyon, we get fantastic views of the swirling rapids below, including the famous Hell's Gate.
so after leaving Vancouver, we went through the coastal rainforest and the spectacular Fraser Canyon, and now we're up into the Thompson River Valley, where we're in part of the driest regions of BC.
The green of the rainforest has given way to the dry, open grasslands and sagebrush. The train passed through Lytton, one of the hottest places in Canada during the summer, And then we follow the Thompson River, at times clinging to the side of the steep canyons. We stop overnight in Kamloops, and the next morning it's back on the train as we set out for the Rockies and our final destination, Jasper, Alberta.
So I've just left Kamloops and we're on our way to the majestic Rocky Mountains. We just spotted a bear off the back of the train, and the weather's starting to clear, so it's going to be a good day.
As the train begins to climb into the mountains, we slow to enjoy the magnificent Pyramid Falls. We get great views of Mount Robson, the highest peak in the Canadian Rockies. And as we get near to journey's end, we're surrounded by snow-covered peaks. This has been an awesome trip, but it has to end somewhere. And where better than the heart of the Canadian Rockies?
Thank you very much. Well, that's our epic journey on the Rocky Mountaineer over and done with. There's only one thing left to do. Let's hit Jasper.
Jasper is a small but happening sort of place. The town is actually inside a national park and is a center for outdoor activities and tourism, but is still very much a real community. Jasper also has the only brew pub that operates within a national park, and Socrates Koragonis is taking me into the brewery.
So, what do we got here?
Well, we got 3 of our beers that we make right here in the brewery. We'll start off with our seasonal.
Okay.
It's the lightest. This is a German-style Hefeweizen.
Okay. This is the wheat beer.
It's a wheat beer.
Okay.
We opened in 2005. We didn't really know what we were doing. We were a bunch of young punks at the time, and we...
You like beer?
We like beer.
You really smell that wheat smell and that fresh. It's almost citrusy, isn't it?
Yeah, and you get a little bit of a bouquet of... I always get a little bit of clove on that.
Yeah.
And not a little bit of banana. You get the banana?
Yeah.
I actually went to school in Victoria, and I spent more time at Swans and Spinnakers and Hugo's at the time than I did actually in class.
Wow, that's really, yeah, now I can taste, now the banana's there.
Yeah, you
When
get
you're
the
tasting
banana.
the banana's really there. That's
A little bit of
really
spice, a little
interesting.
clove on that.
Yeah. I like that. That's really delicious.
And when I got back to Jasper, I figured this is the best thing that I've seen in a long time, and I thought that Jasper needed a locally representative brew pub. So the stout.
Again, wow, that's a coffee and chocolate.
Yeah.
That's a nice, rich, but not heavy. It's quite light.
The water should be the backbone of the beer. I know lots of places they'll manipulate the water to get certain profiles out of it. Here at Jasper Brewing, we don't manipulate our water at all. What we try and do is use the water as the canvas, and then develop recipes that work well with that water. This is the beer that is taking over the West Coast. This is the IPA.
Right?
The
Well,
India-
that's light for an IPA, isn't
The
it?
India Pale Ale. You can go anywhere in the world and take our recipes, but if you don't have Jasper water, you're not going to get the same product.
Wow, that really catches you by surprise, doesn't it? It's got a real complexity to it with, again, fruitiness and almost an effervescence to it.
It's a fun world to be in, and we're really trying to represent the beer consumer.
You make beer. How can that not be fun?
Oh man, it's so much fun.
Cheers. Pleasure. Here's to more great beer.
On my way back to Victoria, I've arranged to meet up with an old friend. But first, there's time for a closer look at the river. The Thompson is one of the many rivers in BC that are great for rafting. The rapids are wild, the water is warm, and with an experienced guide, almost anyone can enjoy the thrills. I'm rafting with Cumsheen Adventures, who also provides some unusual accommodation, and a restaurant run by my good friend Chef Philippe Renaudot, previously of the Lieutenant Governor's residence in Victoria.
Here we are with my very good friend, Monsieur Philippe Renaudot. Executive Chef of the Kumsheen Whitewater Rafting Resort. Philippe, thank you very much for having us in your kitchen today.
Well, it's a pleasure for me.
Thank you very much. Now, we've got something pretty special today, yes?
Yes. Today we have something, probably I never see that before I come in this region. It's called the choke cherry.
Choke cherries.
Choke cherry. Because probably the pit is bigger than the cherry.
And they're tiny, 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 aren't they?
Very, very tiny. It's coming in grapes like that.
Okay.
It's very easy to harvest. It probably come more dark at the end. And with that, we're going to make a cold souffle, glacé. And it's very simple. You put some in a pot. Let's say we put 2 cups.
Yep.
You're going to put 2 cups of sugar at the same time.
Yep.
Half a lemon juice. Bring that to a boil.
Okay.
So now we have all this cherry. We're going to put that through the sieve. Try to extract the maximum as possible.
Yeah. Once it starts to really work well, doesn't it?
After that, when you have everything done, normally you have like a puree.
Yeah.
And this puree look like that.
Beautiful.
So put 2 egg yolk and 2 full eggs.
Okay, so 2 egg yolks, 2 full eggs.
So normally for each eggs you need to use 1 ounce of sugar.
Right.
So we put together, and now we're going to blend together. Yeah, in French expression we call that to make a sabayon.
Sabayon, yep.
It's souffle mean higher than a bowl.
Right.
So to give the impression you have higher than a bowl, you need to cheat.
You need to cheat a little bit. Nothing wrong with a little cheat here and there.
Yeah. To that, we're going to add, when it's in this bread, we're going to mix together. Now it's not finished, we're going to do some whipping cream.
It's a very, very soft peak, isn't it?
Yes. Normally, I do the recipe, I use 12 eggs, 1 pound of sugar, 1 liter of whipping cream. I make 15 rum can like that.
Right.
Now we're going to bring that to the freezer.
Okay.
And after that, we're going to start to try one.
Okay. This looks so beautiful and fresh and colorful. I think we really must try it, shouldn't we?
Try? Oh, of course.
Absolutely. Look at
I give you the honor to try first.
all these beautiful fresh fruits, and
Yes.
it's light and delicious. We've got a piece of raspberry there, a little
It's
bit
very
of
surprising. You're going to see the taste.
the bear parfait.
It's something.
That's delicious.
Very, very
And it's not
different.
too sweet.
No.
I don't have a big sweet tooth, and I like that because it's
No,
the flavor of the fruit
you cannot
comes
have
through.
something nice because when you balance very well the sugar and the acidity of the fruit, you have something very, very different.
Well, that train trip was absolutely fabulous. And now we're going to move from trains to ships. And I'm very, very happy to welcome Commander Derek Moss.
Steve, good to be here.
Today.
Thanks very much for having me.
No problem at all. Before we get started, I've got a little gift for you. One of our famous Flavours of the West Coast rookie chef aprons.
Outstanding, thank you very much. Well, my folks always told me when you come to someone else's kitchen, bring a little token of your appreciation. So since you're giving me an apron, I thought I'd present you with Venture, the Naval Officer Training Center.
Well, thank you very much.
My
That's
pleasure.
awesome. I suppose I better put that on, food safe and all.
I wasn't going to insist.
And it
but
goes
very
with my
kind of you.
ensemble.
It does.
So we're all working well. We're doing braised rabbit today.
Excellent.
And rabbit's one of those dishes that it's such a wonderful dish. It's people compare it to chicken. It's not dissimilar to chicken, but it certainly has a lot more flavor and a lot more interest to it than
Certainly.
chicken is. So I'm just going to grab it here. We've already done the hard work and we've got it all cut up. So the first thing we need to do is season it, because whenever you're cooking any meats, you want to make sure you season the meat properly before you cook it, because the seasoning is going to bring the flavor of the meats out and give us the real robust flavor. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you can just take some salt and some pepper there,
All right.
and just sort of sprinkle it over there. I'm going to get the pan going over here. There we go.
All right,
Okay,
there's a start.
good. Yeah, and then just sort of move them around, make sure it's all evenly coated there.
All right, step one.
Perfect. Okay, so there's a little something to
Thanks.
wipe your fingers on. So I've got my pan over here. I've got it fairly hot. We want to get some heat on there because there's little fat in there. So if we don't have our pan hot, it's going to stick. So
Okay.
you're going to get the pan hot enough so that it sears. You get a little bit of a crust on there, and then it'll just release. And you can turn just a regular sort of pan, it doesn't have to be non-stick, into a non-stick pan simply by having the right heat.
Okay, that's interesting. That goes contrary to what I always thought, where the hotter the pan, the more likely it would be to stick.
There's a balance. There's a
Right.
balance. Obviously, you don't want to burn it. So we've got a good bit of heat under there, just a little oil to aid in that. Get that all swirled around. So how long have you been in the Navy, Derek?
It's 23 years now. So I've been fortunate. They put me through university in Ottawa.
Right.
And then after that, I came out to beautiful British Columbia to do my initial training. And then it's been all over Canada and the world ever since. So it's been enjoyable. I've liked it a lot.
So we've got our pan going nice and hot here. We're letting everything sear. Notice I don't move anything around. Just let it be.
Okay.
Because again, when the proteins are starting to cook, they become sticky. And if you start moving them around, that's when they tear and rip. So if you just leave them and let the heat come up from the pan and actually sear the meat, it gives it that nice crust. And that crust is then what releases from the pan. While that's going on, we're going to get our potatoes ready.
Okay.
We've just got some red nugget potatoes here. We just want to grab a couple of these. Because we're going to leave these fairly large, so we're just going to cut them in half. And then we need a little bit of onion, so I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take half of this one. I'll give you half, and I'll show you. So how much cooking do you actually do?
A fair bit.
Yeah? Do you get in the kitchen a fair amount?
I do. When my wife and I started dating, I did all the cooking. And she's eventually come around and has turned into quite a good little cook herself. So
fabulous, fabulous. So with the onions, we want to slice them. So if we just take the top and the bottom off the onion and then remove the skin, and then just turn it endwise and coming in from the side, just nice shallow cuts. Give us that nice fine slice. Meanwhile, I'm going to turn our rabbit here. And here you can see we get just that nice golden brown color on the rabbit. Okay, so once we've got that nice color on all them, we're just going to take these out of the pan. Actually, you know what we do need, Derek?
What's that?
I'm going to just take me a couple of cloves of garlic and open them up.
Sure.
That would be fabulous, because that's just going to be in there with our onions.
You want these cut up?
Yeah, we're just gonna crush them. We're not gonna actually cut them too much. We're just gonna use the side of the knife and just sort of mash them so that they're bruised and they're open. We'll give a little bit more oil in our pan. And then in the bottom of the pan, you've got all that beautiful meat.
Oh yeah.
Meat reduction and meat juices. So what we're gonna do is throw the onions in there. So what's it like eating on the ships?
Food is probably the lowest common denominator of morale.
Right.
If there's not good food, you're going to have an unhappy ship. So we pay,
throw that garlic in there.
We pay a lot of attention into the training of our cooks.
Yep. Yeah.
They serve 240 odd sailors on board, 4 meals a day. That's just because of the staggered times, and then not everybody.
Because of course it's a 24-hour system, isn't it?
Around meal times. Yeah. So they're busy.
So are you able to get a lot of fresh products on the ship? I mean, when you're on these long deployments.
It really depends. Sometimes you go for extended periods where you have to rely on your frozen.
Right.
But every time you get into a port, or even if we have helicopters embarked, they can go get fresh supplies. And then we have someone who inspects the food when it comes on board, depending on where it's come from.
Right. So they do try and use local food whenever possible?
Absolutely. The first time I ever had some fresh papayas. Now, overseas, a bunch of papayas came on board, and we were eating them for weeks. It was fantastic.
Wonderful. That's awesome. That's great that you can go into foreign ports, and it's, I guess it's easy to.
And certainly part of our role is diplomatic.
Yep.
So by engaging with different cultures, trying their foods, trying some of that on board, that just helps the sailors get a little bit closer to where we are in the world.
People in the world. That's fabulous. So our onions here again, we're looking at that nice,
Oh, yeah.
just a little bit of golden brown color on there. We're just getting that. All that brown in the bottom is the sugars coming out of the onions.
Yeah.
And we got a little bit of nice rich chicken stock here. And we're just going to use that, which we'll just let that kind of work the bottom of the pan, and that'll bring all that beautiful fond, as we refer to it, up off the bottom.
Oh, it smells good.
We're going to put our rabbit back in.
Mm-hmm. Great. So that initial portion you did with the rabbit, that's the braising?
That's the browning. This is
browning.
Braising is the combination of the browning and the cooking in the liquid.
Okay. All right.
So this is now is where we're braising. So we'll throw the potatoes in, and these can just go scattered across the top there. And then we'll give it a little more chicken stock, just enough so that they're not completely covered, but we're just sort of about halfway.
Yeah, okay.
Halfway covered there. Now I've got a little circle of parchment paper here that I cut out earlier. So just regular parchment paper cut into a circle. That's going to cover everything. And that'll just hold some of that heat in a little while. So that's up to a nice simmer. We've got lots of heat in there. And then we can just throw this in the oven. And that'll take about 25 to 30 minutes. We just want to get our garnish ready. In this case, we've got some beautiful fresh mustard greens. Oh, yeah. So what we're going to do with these is just sort of roll them up and kind of squish them together. And then just take your knife, and again, just coarsely. I've got a pot on over here, and I'm just going to put a little drop of chicken stock in the bottom, just a couple of tablespoons. Mm-hmm. And then we're just going to toss this in there, give it some heat, and we'll just give that a A little bit of seasoning in there. You can see how very quickly this starts to wilt.
Yeah.
This will only take about a minute, if that. While that's doing that, I'm just going to move that over to the front burner there, because we're going to go into our oven and have a look at this rabbit. Oh, the smells coming out of this oven are just awesome. We're going to put that back on the heat. We're going to lift our rabbit out, because now we just want to take that sauce and we're going to reduce that sauce. Our potatoes are just about cooked. They'll just finish off in that little bit of stock. We're going to let that reduce down. We've got some just garden peas.
Yep.
Okay, regular garden peas, and some nice fresh blueberries.
Nice.
And again, these are going to give us some color. They're going to give us a little bit of acidity from the blueberries, plus that little bit of sweetness that comes off them, and they'll just finish this dish off beautifully.
Wonderful. That is fantastic. Oh. I'm going to have another bite.
Please do. I like the way that rabbit has more to it than chicken. It looks and feels like chicken, but it's...
I was going to say, and it's not, you might think it would be overly gamey. It's not at all.
No, it's very mild.
Delicious.
Very mild. When working with fresh green herbs, it's very important that you don't over chop them. What I've got here is some flat leaf parsley, which I've just picked off the thick stalk, bunch it up into sort of a little cigar type shape and roll it over, and then very finely, one chop only. You don't want to go over this again and again, otherwise you'll lose all your chlorophyll, and whatever you're cooking and putting this into is likely to turn green. So to go with our Rocky Mountaineer rabbit, Rod Phillips, what do you recommend for this dish?
I've got Rockstar wines for the Rocky Mountaineer rabbit.
Sounds perfect.
Absolutely. Quails Gate, which quails like rabbits.
That's right.
Yeah, they're both vegetarians. But we thought we'd go with the Quails Gate Gewurtztraminer to bring out, again, that spicy character to it.
Nice, very
fresh
light
acidity.
looking wine.
Yeah. Because of the stock reduction, this will bring out the real richness of the stock reduction.
That's just delicious.
Isn't that
There's
great?
no other word for that. That's just delicious.
No, wine. That is a beautiful wine.
Beautiful wine, yeah.
Now, a classic pairing is Pinot Noir, and one of the best places to find Pinot Noir in the Okanagan is the South Okanagan, specifically at Stoneboat Winery. Okay. The reason why I say that is Lanny Martinick is the proprietor there, and he is literally a nuclear scientist, but he's a crazy scientist that loves Pinot. Pinot Gris, Pinot Blanc, Pinot Noir. Yeah. And you get the nose right off. Oh, big, rich. It goes so well with the blueberry. There's a real deep earthiness. It'll go so well with the rabbit.
That's a chewing wine. You got to bite into that one.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
That is a hearty wine to go with a hearty meal.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, the last one we're going to have is the Tinhom Creek Cabernet Franc. Now, in my perspective, the Cabernet Franc from Tinhom Creek is their best red. A lot of people buy the Merlot and they say that's a great one, but for me, this is it. This, to me, is BC's red wine.
Again,
get the
complex.
Big aromatics, which is classic of Cabernet Franc, but there's such a silkiness, like with the stock.
Yeah.
Do you just get that? Oh. That silkiness, that's just like sitting into a big leather chair with a roaring fire.
Beautiful. And just that nice warming, very, very light sort of pepperiness at the back end.
Oh yeah, this is great. My mouth is still salivating.
My mouth is singing.
Excellent.
As always, Rod Phillips, Rocky Mountaineer Rabbit, Flavors of the West Coast. We'll see you next week.